Markets are going to have a massive catalyst coming tomorrow, and you guys need to be fully prepared for it. Now, on top of that, we're going to talk about what's happening with AMC stock today. The stock is down about 2.5%. Intera Capital is selling more shares, which makes me believe we're going to have a bullish reaction towards the end of June. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to get into in a very short amount of time. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So AMC stock is down 2.65% here on the day. We're going to look at the Ortex data, but long story short, it's basically because markets are buying your big tech again. They're buying your quote-unquote safety stocks. Even though AMC has been going higher as of recently, it's in a pretty good bullish uptrend. They're not liking AMC here today. And again, you're seeing a lot of very bearish option activity as well that is happening today, which just helps suppress the price of AMC. When you look at some of these trades, I mean, a $10 put expiring tomorrow worth almost $5 million, that puts a lot of pressure on the stock. That means market makers have to go out and short a bunch of shares of AMC, and that obviously does not help the stock to go higher by any means. And that's exactly what is pushing the stock down here today. Now, we're coming off of the summary of economic projections that came out yesterday from the Fed, and basically the Fed sees 2 more rate hikes to a terminal rate of 5.6%. The Fed sees inflation on a core PCE basis higher than what they previously expected. And then they're also seeing the economy doing better than expectations, which is better for AMC's fundamental business. But who cares about fundamentals? AMC is back to the same market cap as it was pre-pandemic, and it looks like it's going to be more profitable once the actual, domestic box office gets back to where it was pre-pandemic. But nobody cares about that. In the meantime, it has been short AMC, go long on APE. But as of recently, you've seen a lot of sellers actually stepping in to sell APE. As you see, Intera Capital sells almost another 2 million shares here on the day today, following this trend that you have seen recently of Intera Capital dumping APE stock. Now, if we take a look at the Ortex data, you got a short score of 93, about $600 million worth of short positions in AMC, 23.5% estimated short interest of free float. Free float out on loan at 37.29%. Shares out on loan 192.5 million. Days to cover 8.14. Cost to borrow at about 96% and 100% share utilization. So numbers looking very much primed for a short squeeze, especially those days to cover numbers, in which that makes me the most bullish, because that's basically saying, I mean, I've said this many times, but when volume heads into AMC, you're going to see a parabolic rally with the stock. That is the simple fact here. Now, if we take a look at the cost to borrow fees are jumping exponentially. Again, with AMC stock, cost to borrow average sitting at 244.39%, cost to borrow max 269.5%, cost to borrow minimum jumping the most to 216.12%. Interactive Brokers short availability has a cost to borrow fee of about 105%, with 150,000 shares that are currently available to be lent out. So cost to borrow fees mixed with high days to cover, mixed with, I guess, potentially, positive catalysts on the near-term horizon by the end of this month. That could mean AMC stock needs to go a lot higher from here. And as we pointed out in the video earlier today, a lot of people, some institutions are pointing out that AMC is actually technically looks bullish on the charts themselves. And if you take a look at AMC, that is exactly the case. You have been in an uptrend ever since the end of May. Although the last 2 days have been red, you're not hitting the lows as of yet. And it looks like the rally to the upside can surely continue, especially if you can hold above that 8-day exponential moving average. That has really been carrying the stock higher ever since you did hit the lows at the end of May. And that 8-day moving average is currently at $4.78 per share. AMC stock is at $4.76.5 per share. So you're about 2.5 cents off of that right now. And it looks like you are making a move higher into the end of the day slightly. I mean, the stock kind of ripped from the lows that you've seen and kind of trading sideways. Now, if you do rip into the close, that's going to be a very positive thing overall for AMC stock. Now, if we take a look at some of the catalysts coming out tomorrow, you got a big one. So the inflation expectations for June, or the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey is coming out. It does have inflation expectations, and those are going to be the big things that the markets really care about and pay attention to. So the headline number is expected to come in at 60.8, an improvement from last month's reading at 59.2. Now, the one-year inflation expectations are expected to come in at 4%. Previously, it was at 4.2%. So one-year inflation expectations expected to fall. Overall, you've been in quite a downtrend. Now, 5-year inflation expectations. That is where things have been in an uptrend recently. And that's where you have a problem. Inflation could become essentially unanchored. And really, you hit the lows in September and during the October crash in the markets, and that hit a low of 2.7%. You really got back to 2.9% and stayed here for a while. And as of April, you went to 3%. In May, you went to 3.1%. Expectations are for 5-year inflation expectations to remain at 3.1%. If you go to 3.2% or 3.3%, that's where you have a problem. Right now, you're at a 10-year high, currently at 3.1% for 5-year inflation expectations. If you do go to 3.2% or 3.3%, you're going to be breaking a 10-year high for 5-year inflation expectations. If you break over 3.4%, then you start to break a 25-year high for 5-year inflation expectations, and that would be the one thing that I would point to that would be a super bearish catalyst coming tomorrow. Not to mention you have a quad witching tomorrow, and you have a lot of option expirations that are going to be taking place on AMC stock. A lot of options are going to be expiring. Now, what you have seen recently is a lot of bearish pressure around tomorrow's option expiration with AMC. That June 16th option expiration has been one that people are just doubling down on, millions of dollars in some of these trades that expire tomorrow. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow is you're going to see a lot of volume and you're going to see a lot of activity. Now, after tomorrow is where AMC could actually start to rally quite a bit. The next largest option expiration, which is not a quad witching, I believe it's a triple witching, is going to be that July 21st option expiration. So after tomorrow, I don't really have big expectations for tomorrow itself. If you can rally, that would be great. If not, fine. I think July 21st, after tomorrow, that's the period in which you could see an exponential rally, especially if the end of June, this catalyst with the courts are positive. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to heading into tomorrow. Again, the positive order value is so bad. It's 2% today. You've seen 10 orders totaling $5.72 million, with some of your larger orders just absolutely dominating the price action of AMC stock. And if we look at the actual volume of the day today, it's no shocker. I mean, you've seen almost 13 million shares trading hands. That one trade alone was over 500. What is it? Let's go ahead and look. Call it 10,000 for the size. What? That's a million shares market makers had to go out and short. Let me make sure the math is correct there. Yeah, 1 million shares market makers had to go out and short just based off of that option. Not to mention all of the options that are starting to expire here. So I'm going to get constructively a lot more bullish after tomorrow, after June 16th, really into next week and the following weeks heading into the end of the month. Intera Capital selling so many shares as they have been recently. Also a very bullish sign. Now, if you look at tomorrow's option expiration, just the sheer number of options is absolutely ridiculous in AMC. You got 8,400 calls currently in the money, 602,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at 356,000, out the money puts at 508,000. Some absurd numbers for this option activity, guys. So that is basically all I have for you. There's really not too much else to actually say. There's really not too many other things going on here in the markets. Obviously, markets are rallying after the Fed basically said you're going to get more rate hikes. S&P 500 is up 1.15%. Markets are currently expecting no rate cuts now in 2023, but you're only expecting one more rate hike at the next meeting at July 26th with a 69.4% probability. Then you're expecting a pause in September, and a rate cut is still at 26% odds, so the data is going to move things around quite a bit. But you're expecting a pause still in September, a pause in November, a pause in December, and then coming January, that's where you start to actually price in your first rate cut with a 42.4% probability. And then in March, you're expecting another rate cut, currently 36.2% chance. In May, you're expecting another rate cut with a 36% chance. And then in June, that's where you are expecting the Fed to actually hold rates again. So it's very strange. You're expecting a bunch of holds from here. And then really once the start of 2024 kicks in, you're expecting like 3 back-to-back rate cuts and then really a hold throughout the majority of 2024, guys. So that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.